One night, while dozing off over his study materials, Anton hears his older brother whispering, and when he looks out the window, he sees that Buller is on the roof again. To prevent the boy from jumping off and hurting himself, Anton runs to him and brings him back inside. Despite being the youngest, Anton takes on much more responsibility than his brother and even helps him with his schoolwork. Knowing that Buller is not like other boys, Anton has decided to take on the role of older brother and helps his mother with household chores every day. After eating breakfast, the two brothers walk to school together, and Anton is followed by Agnes, who is apparently in love with him. Annoyed by his younger brother's constant supervision, Buller claims he can walk on his own, so Anton decides to test him. When the crosswalk signal turns green, he instructs Buller to cross first, but when the cars start moving again, the boy breaks down. Concerned for his brother's safety, Anton waits for the light to turn green again and runs to him. Due to his high level of autism, Buller has difficulty dealing with many stimuli, and his hypersensitivity means he cannot be left unsupervised. Upon arriving at school, Anton sees a group of troublemaking students walking toward them and asks his brother to hide while he deals with them. At that moment, Buller discovers that his brother has his snack stolen every day and feels bad that he can't do anything to help him. On the way home, after visiting the psychiatrist, the two brothers argue and Anton reveals his anger at having a brother who needs special care. When their mother parks the car in the parking lot and goes shopping, Anton sees two brothers playing ball together and regrets not being able to experience that. When he gets home, Buller rushes to get his drawing materials and spends the whole night trapped in his own world. In an attempt to apologize to his brother and regain his friendship, Buller hands him a stack of drawings he made himself, but as soon as the boy turns his back, Anton throws the sheets in the trash. A few minutes later, he hears his brother muttering again and climbs onto the roof behind him. However, instead of getting him down, Anton decides to do nothing and just watches as Buller suffers a terrible fall. Although he loves his brother very much, Anton briefly begins to think that his life would be much easier if he simply didn't exist. Suddenly, a burning space sphere falls into a park next to the school where Anton studies and causes a lot of damage when it hits the ground. The next day, when the teacher takes her students for a walk, the students scatter around the park and Anton starts playing with a spider. The boy reveals that he would like Buller to be bitten by an arachnid and turn into Spider-Man, because then he would be the younger brother of a superhero. At that moment, Anton sees smoke coming from inside a mound of earth and decides to approach it to find out what is causing the phenomenon. Meanwhile, Anya goes to a natural products store to look for alternative treatments for her son, and the saleswoman suggests a plant that Tibetan monks consider a miracle tea. The monks who drank that tea had their senses enhanced and achieved a greater level of clarity about life. Upon hearing this, Anya decides to take that plant with the hope that the tea can help her son settle into reality. When the teacher announces the end of class, Anton gathers his things to leave and realizes that Agnes is following him. In an attempt to lose her, the boy walks quickly through the hallways and almost knocks over an employee who was cleaning the school windows. At that moment, Max and his gang end up getting hit by the water and start a chain reaction in which all the boys are affected. Luckily, Anton manages to leave the school before Max finds him, but ends up being caught by the students while waiting outside for his brother. Seeing his brother being attacked, Buller hides, unable to muster the courage to go and help him. When he realizes that his brother watched everything and did nothing, Anton rebels, and when he gets home, he still has to listen to his mother complain about his treatment of Buller. During the argument, Anton says he is tired of having to help his mother do everything, especially taking care of his brother, and says he can't wait to become an adult so he can leave that house. After the fight, the boy climbs onto the roof, and while looking at the stars, he decides to make a wish. His only wish is for his older brother to be like everyone else, and at that moment, he sees a plane flying over his house. That night, Anton decides to look for all the latest drawings his brother made for him, and when he gathers them together, the boy realizes that they are pieces of a large puzzle. When he sees the image of a large space sphere falling to Earth, the boy returns to the park next to his school and starts digging, as he is convinced that the sphere fell right there. When he finally finds the object, Anton decides to take it home and asks Buller for help in figuring out what it is. Based on his brother's drawings, Anton is convinced that Buller knows what that sphere is, and the boy claims that it came from another planet. At that moment, the youngest son grabs a baseball bat to try to open that thing, and after hitting it twice, the shell begins to open, as if it were an oyster. From inside it, countless tentacles and luminous butterflies emerge and begin to fly around the room. As he approaches the shell to investigate if there is anything else inside, Anton finds an object and accidentally shoots a blue ray at his brother's thumb. Then Buller's finger begins to glow, and both see a hologram of Liege appear right in front of them, a toy engineer who lives in the Kuiper Belt, where the planet Kyuber is located. From the moment he decided to retire, Liege sent his toys on a journey through space so that other children in other galaxies could benefit from his greatest inventions. Thanks to this decision, Anton and Buller are now the owners of a super trip control, also known as STC, which cannot be exposed directly to water or sunlight. At the end of the broadcast, a floating screen appears in the room and Anton presses play. At that moment, the toy begins to glow and the boy points the laser beam at the aquarium. After being hit by the beam, the goldfish begins to spin at high speed, creating a whirlpool in the water. Frightened, the two brothers leave the room and lock the door to keep the situation a secret. Then, they both go to sleep in Buller's room, and when the lights go out, the boy's thumb glows again. At that moment, the boy comes to the conclusion that he belongs to another planet and waits until the light goes out so they can sleep. The next morning, Anya prepares Tibetan monk tea for her son, and Buller decides to drink it, because all he wants is to become a teenager like everyone else. Later, when he comes home from school, the two brothers discover that their mother is going out on a date and they will have to stay home alone that night. So, as soon as Anya leaves the house, the pair rush to Anton's room and find the goldfish swimming around the whirlpool. In an attempt to understand what that toy is capable of, Buller asks his brother to shoot it, and his entire body begins to glow. When the blue color disappears, Buller tries to communicate, but his voice fails and Anton rushes to try to help him. Suddenly, the boy gets up and starts acting completely differently, as if he were a boy like any other. In an attempt to understand what is happening, Anton goes after Buller and is happy to discover that he has gained a super cool older brother. That night, it is Buller who helps his younger brother with his homework, and Anton is relieved when he realizes that he will no longer have to perform this task. As they leave the house, the two brothers run into their neighbor, who complains about the paintings on the flagpole in front of the boy's house. As soon as the man gets in his car and drives away, Buller pulls the pole down with his own hands and puts it in the neighbor's yard. At that moment, Anton feels very proud of his older brother and is impressed by his strength. As soon as the pair enter the house, Agnes appears to talk to Anton, but the boy dismisses her once again and closes the door. Hours later, Anya arrives in her neighborhood and tries to dismiss the guy she had a date with, but he insists on walking her home. So, when she arrives in the backyard, the woman says goodbye to Henrik and closes the door right in his face to prevent him from entering. The next morning, after making tea for Buller, Anya notices that her son is acting differently and says she is proud of him for maturing. When the pair leave the house to go to school, Anton catches his brother's attention and tells him to be careful that his mother doesn't notice that he is different. As they walk to school, they are followed by Agnes, and for the first time in his life, Anton experiences the feeling of being cared for by an older brother. Later, during class, Agnes sends Anton a note asking if he wants to be her boyfriend, but instead of answering yes or no, he decides to change the subject and gives an evasive answer. At recess, Max steals the boy's snack again, and not satisfied with just the sandwich, he decides to steal Anton's allowance. However, instead of handing over the money, the boy agrees to meet Max after school to introduce him to his older brother. As agreed, at the end of class, Anton and his brother wait for the gang of students on the soccer field, but Buller decides to leave after waiting for a few minutes. Shortly after, Max and his gang show up, and Anton comes home covered in mud. Furious, he goes to talk to his brother about what happened and says it's all his fault. Then the boy runs to his room and kicks the toy he found in the space shell. At that moment, the remote control falls into the aquarium and stops working. When he realizes that his goldfish has stopped swimming around its own axis, Anton rushes to see if the effect of that blue light on his brother has also been interrupted and feels frustrated when his suspicions are confirmed. Soon after, Anya arrives home, and upon realizing that Buller is back to normal, she feels frustrated because she realizes that the tea did not have the desired effect. Seeing the sadness in his mother's eyes, Anton tries to fix things and places the STC on top of the heater in his room in the hope that it will work again. After taking a shower, the boy goes downstairs for dinner and sees that his mother has made ice cream cake for dessert. At that moment, Anton realizes that she is not well and hugs her to try to comfort her. Suddenly, Anya hears the doorbell and goes to answer it. At that moment, she comes face to face with Agnes, who says she has an invitation for Anton. After opening the envelope, the boy discovers that there will be a costume party that weekend, and Agnes advises him to choose a nice outfit, as there will be a costume contest. Upon hearing this, Anton declines the invitation, but his mother insists that he go with his brother and says she will provide the costumes. The next day, when he arrives at school and sees Max's gang approaching, Anton hides among the trash cans, and this time manages to go unnoticed. At that moment, he has an idea to make the remote control work again, and when he gets home, the boy uses his mother's hairdryer to fix it. When he does so, the goldfish starts swimming around the aquarium again, and Anton realizes that his plan has worked. However, before the boy can celebrate, Leja's hologram appears once again and informs him that the STC will shut down permanently in 36 hours because it has been exposed to water. At that moment, Anton hears loud music coming from his brother's room and is relieved to realize that Buller is acting differently again. Suddenly, the boy opens the window and takes a running start to jump. Looking outside, Anton discovers that his brother can fly and runs downstairs to follow him. Seeing his brother flying through the sky like a true superhero, Anton feels proud of him and runs after him through the city, excited to have a brother with superpowers. However, on the way he meets Agnes and has to hide while watching his brother suffer a crash. When he finally manages to get rid of her, Anton runs to meet his brother and is relieved to see that he is fine despite all the damage he caused in the neighbor's garden. Suddenly, Nabo appears at the door and the two brothers run back home to take a shower before their mother gets home from work. Worried about what his mother might do if she finds out what happened, Anton asks his brother to keep his superpowers a secret, but Buller can't hide his new personality. Seeing him talk so freely, Anya regains hope that her son will become a functional boy, and realizing this, Anton becomes concerned, knowing that in less than 30 hours Buller will return to what he was before. The next day, Anya returns to the health food store to buy more tea, as she is convinced that this plant is helping her son improve his attention span. Later, when she gets home, she gives her children 2 costumes to wear to the party and calls Anton aside to talk. After making him promise to keep it a secret, Anya reveals why she gives Buller Tibetan tea every morning and says that thanks to this, the boy is getting better. After putting on his costume, Buller takes on his superhero persona and decides to go after the boys who were teasing his younger brother. After making fun of them, the boy says he will be waiting for Max and his gang in that field at dawn and disappears after kicking their ball into the air. However, when he gets home, Buller discovers that in the next 11 hours he will lose his superpowers, and he starts to cry because he doesn't want to go back to having the same personality as before. Realizing that there is nothing he can do to change his fate, the boy decides to enjoy his last hours in the company of his younger brother and uses the STC to give him superpowers. Then, both go downstairs to go to the party and run into Henrik at the door. While the boys are at the party, the man says he will keep their mother company. Upon arriving at school, the two brothers find Agnes dressed as a black cat and discover that they are the only guests at the party. At that moment, the girl draws names to dance with her, and Anton is chosen. While his brother is on the dance floor, Buller takes the opportunity to eat snacks and discovers that his brother's name was written on all the raffle tickets. After a long night of fun, Anton and Buller return home, but realize that their mother is not very comfortable in Henrik's presence. So Buller invites him for a chat, and when they reach the bathroom on the second floor, the man is immobilized. While Anton brushes his teeth, Buller orders the man to leave and never bother his mother again. As soon as Henrik closes the door, the boys take Anya to the roof and show her the beautiful view from up there. Knowing that his mother dreams of visiting Paris, Anton and Buller take her by the arms and take her for a ride. After flying over the city for a few minutes, they land to get ice cream, and after taking a photo with their mother, they take her back home, knowing that they will soon lose their superpowers. When they arrive in the bedroom, Anton and Buller discover that there are only 15 minutes left before the STC stops working forever and they return to what they were before. So they decide to spend their last minutes going after Max, but on the way Buller decides to take a detour and starts flying higher and higher. After watching the sunrise, the two brothers hear the toy beep, indicating its self-destruction. At that moment, they lose their powers and begin to fall at high speed. Luckily, during the fall, Anton manages to open the emergency parachute attached to the toy, and they hold on to each other until they finally land. When they look around, they realize they are on the soccer field, and Buller returns to being the fearful and introverted boy he was before. While trying to calm his brother down, Anton spots Max and his gang approaching and orders Buller to stay behind him. Realizing that his younger brother is in danger, Buller tries to intimidate the students, but his posture does not convey any confidence, and Max quickly realizes that he is harmless. When he sees his brother being threatened by those boys, Anton becomes enraged and challenges Buller to a fight. However, this time, instead of trying to run away or hide, Buller decides to stand by his brother no matter what and prepares for battle. Seeing the two clumsy boys, the students knock them down, and when they realize that the pair is at a disadvantage, the whole group decides to leave. At that moment, the two boys get up for a new round and challenge their opponents to another fight. Once again, Anton and Buller are easily defeated, but they do not give in to failure and decide to get up once more. However, when they realize that their opponents will not give up the fight, Max and the other boys decide to leave, and Anton thanks his older brother for defending him, even though they both got beaten up. After getting the STC back, the boys return home and decide to keep it in a secret hiding place. However, during the night, something totally unexpected happens and the toy starts to glow, generating a light strong enough to wake the two brothers. So what did you think of this movie? Leave it in the comments below. And if you liked the video, like and subscribe for more movie recaps. See you next time.